chapter in this series. Today I'm here with Shandella, Melissa, Jason, and Mike, and just reflecting on how they, as members of our congregation and in various roles that they have, how they have experienced the events that have transpired over the last several months. So my first question to you is, how did you personally experience the news?
I think for me, we found out on an evening, and I was actually at wrestling practice with my son, and the email came through, and I remember just the initial shock and confusion, denial. I didn't really want to believe what was going on. But then right away, I had about 15 minutes to process the information, and then I felt like I had to save face for my son because I knew I couldn't tell him what I had just found out, but I had to process it further. So I really felt like I had to stuff all my emotions inside and process them later. But I mean, from that came really good discussions with each of our children, with my husband. But overall, it was just very shocking and hard to really wrap our minds around.
I would say when I first heard about it, I would say kind of like you, like just shocked. You're just like, what? This can't be. Like, you hear about it in the news sometimes. You never think like it would happen at your church or something, and then you're just shocked. And then after that, you just kind of, I just felt almost like sad, or just kind of felt bad. I'm thinking, man, what went on that, like, what makes a person, do something like that? And then just feeling, almost kind of like feeling the burden then of like what the leadership team's going through and the pastors, and just thinking, man, I can't imagine. Like, it's just, shocked is the main thing.
So what would you say was a significant moment for you as you look back in the past several months?
I think for me a significant moment was, even in the days initially after, was kind of just that reminder of how easily sin can creep into our lives. And, I feel like for most people, we probably don't wake up one morning and say that I'm going to cheat on my spouse today, or I'm going to, whatever that may be, fill in the blank. I feel like it's probably more of a slow progression of compromises. And so for myself, it was just a reminder of like, wow, I need to do a self-evaluation and see like, hey, am I giving the enemy a foothold anywhere in my own life? Because like I said, I feel like it starts slow, and maybe we make easy compromises.
I know for me a significant moment was realizing that we needed to tell our children. Our kids were very much involved. He was also their basketball coach at a school, and so this didn't just affect them at school. It was also, or didn't just affect them at church. It also affected them at school, and we sat down with the kids individually just so that they could ask questions and they could process it without a sibling throwing their opinion or asking questions we wanted them to ask on their own. And I felt like that was, as a parent, that was tough. That was hard for some of the younger kids to not just tell them that somebody they looked up to did something wrong, but somebody like who has worked with children and somebody that they really felt close to.
Do any of you have reflections that you would share on interactions that you had, whether it would be within your family or within the congregation or with leadership at the various, the prayer events or the panel that we had over the course of time?
Yeah, I would say it didn't take long until the news broke the following day that just people from the community, connections through our conference, our community, it didn't take long for them to hear the news and know that it impacted us. So I just really remember feeling blessed to be part of a community that wasn't judging or making assumptions, but they really truly cared and were assuring us of our prayers. So that was an impactful realization, and also challenged me, when things like this happen, to be that person that reaches out and assures people of our prayers and support. The prayer night that we kind of had an emergency prayer meeting a couple days after this had all transpired, and that was a really meaningful time for our family. I felt like it just united the church in a really meaningful way, and when you don't really know what else to do, prayer is always one of those things, and I just felt like it was the perfect solution just to come to God. Like, we don't know what's happening, we don't know how to fix it, but we know that God does. And I just found that night incredibly touching. It was healing in its own way. And and then the panel that was offered a couple weeks later, just to help process with therapists of how to further talk to our children, resources, books that were made available. I just thought it was just another step towards healing in the whole difficult process that it was.
I would say for me, it was very neat to see interactions like with other people at church and stuff. So there was no negativity spoken about him at all. Like, it was very much like everybody was, praying for him. And kind of like what you said, that prayer night was a big thing for me. I mean, I think it seemed like that evening, like the congregation was just very united. Everybody, the pastor got up there and did like a walkthrough of all the events, and just kind of, I feel like everybody was able to kind of take the burden with him. And it was just kind of like, we're all in this together and we're all going to get through it. And I mean, now it almost seems like, I honestly don't even think about it much anymore. Like, I feel like, the church took a hard blow from the enemy, but it united us and made us stronger, and yeah.
Yeah, and kind of along those lines, how have you seen God's redemptive nature playing out in these months that have followed?
For me, when it first had happened, my first thought was, well, are the kids going to come to youth activities, or is the youth group going to crumble, or what's going to happen? And it's really been the total opposite. And I feel like the youth ministries, from the young ones on up to the youth, they're thriving, and the youth group is thriving.
Yeah, I would go along with that. I've noticed a huge change in our youth group, and the desire to, I feel like it almost brought them together. I feel like that pain, they shared that, and they've come out closer, I know, walking through. The other thing I feel like I really noticed was the day after this had unfolded, we had a ministry meeting already scheduled. The care team was there. And I just remember the pastors talking about it and feeling this, just the way our pastors handled it and were open and honest. I just got this feeling that, like, our church is going to be okay, and that we're going to come out stronger in the end. We're going to be closer together, and together we're going to get through this. And I really feel like that's definitely what has happened.
Yeah, definitely. And that's all just because of God and what He's done through, in so many different ways, and provided in so many ways. So thank you each for your reflections and for just sharing part of your story and how you've experienced all of this. And thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.